Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. I just want to give a brief history of the Siguenza map of the Project 1 Mapping Architectural Modernity. So, I wanted to give a brief introduction of the Siguenza map. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But it's known as a cartographic map. It is the only one known of its existence. So we don't know who made it, where it was made. All we know is that it was dated from the 16th century, and we don't even know the exact date of when it came to be. Um, so, diving into the research of the map, I started to question when did cartography maps during the time begin to change, telling from just traditional stories of migration to using the maps as a kind of census to questionnaire to how assimilated the Spaniards began to take over the territories. And then I started to question were maps used at the time to show how far someone has conquered the land, and did the Siguenza map actually help influence future maps of conquering in Mexico? So the Siguenza map is actually a map telling the journey the Aztecs took from the mythical homeland of Aztlan to the Tenochtitlan, and I want to say sorry if I'm butchering the names. So it was believed that the journey was guided by their god of war, or Huitzilopochtli. I'm so sorry. Along the way, their destination, they encountered many hardships, but they still had this unwavering devotion to get to their next land. When they got to their destination, they faced the challenge of trying to negotiate with nearby tribes in the area. Finally, they settled what is now known as Tenochtitlan. So I just want to give like a brief description of the map. So it's 54.5 by 77.5 centimeters, and it's made on a single sheet of amidal paper. So amidal paper is a bark of paper traditionally made from the inner bark of fig or mulberry trees, and it has been used since pre-contact times and was mainly used for ceremonial or religious purposes. And it's used to tell the stories of the Aztecs. So, in comparison to the Siguenza map, we have another map here called the Map of Cambodia, Mexico, which states in 1580. So, this map is kind of part of the Relaciones Geographicas collection. It was created between 1578 and 1586. It was made in response to the Spanish crown in 1577 as a questionnaire. So what the Spanish did was that they covered topics such as demographics, political administration, languages spoken, physical terrain, and vegetation, kind of like the census that we have today. So the Crown only received 191 responses. 167 are known to exist, and 43 of these maps are held in the Benson Latin American collection. The purpose behind this map is to study the colonial economy and the spread of European religion in New Spain. They both tell a story of how religion influenced the conquering eras. Both depict how religion influenced the shift of where to settle. I just wanted to give a brief description of Carlos de Siguenza y Góngora. So he was born in Mexico City, New Spain. He was born in 1645, passed in 1700. Known to writing the philosophical manifest against the common stripe their dominion over the timid. So this book argued the impending superstitions, predictions does not link comets to major events. In the 1680s, he was known as a royal cartographer. He drew hydrologic maps of the Valley of Mexico, and he participated in the 1692 expedition to Florida under the command of Andre de Paz. So this is where he mapped the Pensacola in the mouth of the Mississippi. Uh, the Siguenza map, is named after Carlos de Siguenza because he actually was founded the map. So I just wanted to go over briefly the hidden history of the Aztec Empire. So in 1502, Montezuma succeeded his uncle Ahuitzotl and began his 18-year reign. 1519, Hernan Cortez set sail and arrives with his soldiers November 8th, 1519. Hernan Cortez arrives at Tenochtitlan and decides to take Montezuma captive. Between 1519 and 1520, there was a series of little battles that resulted in the untimely death of Montezuma II. And then Catahuac becomes the next Aztec leader, May 22nd, 1521. Cortez defeats Catahuac's successor, Catuahamac, and the Aztec Empire falls eventually. So I just want to use this image first of all to explain that the war between the Spaniards and the Aztecs, it wasn't all just like hand over their crown. There was a series of wars that did happen. Um, but I also wanted to go over like with all my researches in the Aztec history, I would have to say that it tells the story of the Aztecs migrating with the Siguenza map. Um, Basically, Aztecs were just trying to find a home in that was safe, that they wanted to keep rooted permanently. One of the biases depicted was a conquest of the Spanish to the Aztec Empire, which was that it was a noble mission to spread Christianity and civilization. Hernan Cortez did write to the crown that the that they were assimilating peacefully, which was not the case. There were, like I said before, there's a series of wars that was happening, and they took it forcefully among like the Aztecs. Um, so I can see that after the fall of the Aztec Empire, when Carlos de Siguenza first came upon this map, he could probably make out that it was a story of conquering. The architecture depicted in the map were glyphs, and maybe he had mistaken these as cities of gold, where in fact they were probably just small villages. And it, like, literally, the map had glyphs as location markers and a timestamp. Um, so yeah, so after the Aztec Empire fell in 1521, many maps of similar nature started to pop up, like the map of Sempolia, with similar styles and drawings from homes to foot tracks and the assimilation in different territories. You can tell that the Siguenza map heavily influenced the future of map of its time. This was to give visual aid on demographics, political administration, languages spoken, physical terrain, and vegetation. So I just want to end this here with my final argument. So what does the Siguenza map tell us? Absolutely everything that we need to know. The map was a migration. It told the story of the Aztecs from migrating from Aslo to the Tenochtitlan. Yeah, so just like the Zempolia map, I believe that both maps are related in nature just due to the assimilation and conquering, whether it's just passing by or like, like the Aztecs did have to fight different neighboring tribes just to get through to their homeland. So yeah, so just like they both use brute force to get to their end goal. Um, and it comes into fruition that both the Relaciones Geográficas, or the Zempolia map and the Siguenza map, are maps of conquering, not migration. Although we don't know when the Siguenza map was made precisely, I do believe that the Siguenza map influenced future maps of its time, resulting in the Zempolia map.